Greetings, Dreamweaver world. We had some technical difficulties there, but went ahead and corrected the problem. So let's go ahead and start this over again. This is how we're going to do this. Uh, Perhaps, maybe from now on. I will preach at night, and then the next day I'll go ahead and post it next time whenever I get to an internet connection or something like that. I would post it through my phone, but I've got limited gigs in order to do that, so I'll just have to wait till the next day. However, if you're already getting this news feed or the feed, then you're already watching me, you're already listening to me, so it's not really that big of a deal, and then you can always watch it the next day or whatever. So that's not really a problem. So it'll be pretty much the same thing every night. I'll get started a little bit earlier tomorrow night, and it's going to take a little bit more time tonight because it's the intro. It's the beginning of the Christmas series. But I was doing videos like this last year, and I had an apartment then, but it's still, I had some cool lighting and stuff like that, and I'll get there again. But also, bear with me because I did not get a lot of sleep last night. I got like 2 hours of shivering sleep, because I'm on the street or whatever. So I'm very tired. So bear with me as I go through this, and we'll get through it, and I'm sure you'll learn something. And another thing, I've got these enemies, and we're going to talk about this as we go through. And they want to do everything they can to try to stop me, all right? But one thing you have to remember, all right, is that you got to remember that I am the oldest one, all right? I am the one who basically, for better or for worse, I led a lot of people while I was in my younger years, and we will also go through that. So just because we go through this stuff that sounds really amazing the first day, just remember, I'm going to be owning up to a lot of stuff. All right. After we get done with the Christmas series, you are going to completely understand exactly what I am all about, if you don't know already. And you will know exactly what has happened my whole life. All right? There will not be any question for anybody. And now that my popularity is pretty much worldwide now, everybody's going to know everything. All right. So anyway, the first thing I posted today, the history of the church in Steventown. I grew up in the church, right, and I was a spoiled kid. I got pretty much anything I wanted. My parents bought me anything I wanted because they pretty much knew they messed up with their lives, and so they bought me pretty much anything, and so we had a childhood that was quite spoiled, and so around 10, when I was about 10, my parents got a divorce, and I thought it was just a normal divorce. Until later on in life, after I had already graduated high school, I was snooping through my dad's stuff, and I found this excommunication letter. And I found out that the church had got involved with my parents' divorce without any evidence. So they say, but even if there was evidence, it doesn't matter. The church shouldn't have got involved. And I'm not sitting here saying, oh, well, I wish my parents were together or whatever, but they would have had a pretty good chance to stay together if the church wouldn't have got involved. I mean, these people, they talked my mom into basically forgetting about my dad, and it really did mess up my life. And it took a lot, because not only did I find out that they lied to me and my grandparents lied to me, but the whole congregation that I had grown to know and love, to trust, I found out that they were all lying to me, and so I developed these trust issues, and it really was a problem. It was very difficult for me for years and years and years. I had a hard time trusting anybody. The good thing about the Dreamweaver way is that it helped me through that. You know, in my 20s, I turned into an atheist because I was totally disenchanted with religion, and I also got into drugs really heavy, and alcohol. Well, of course, alcohol is a drug, but and I got in it too heavy, you know, and there was a time I never thought I was going to get out, you know, but I had a chance to go back to school, and I was able to get out of that, you know, and find my faith again. And this will be part of the story that we're covering. But the cool thing about the Dreamweaver way is it can help you with anything. Those so-called mental diseases like ADD and bipolar disorder and all of those things, the Dreamweaver way can help you through that. Any kind of addictions, whether it's drugs or food or sex or whatever, the Dreamweaver way can help you. In fact, whatever it is in your life that you need to improve on, the Dreamweaver way can help you. All right? It's just a matter of you practicing to where you can have that discipline. All right? So, and that's what it's all about, is discipline. We'll talk about that later as well. All right, so I had a chance to go back to school in my 30s, and every assignment that I had, I took very seriously. You know, a lot of times when people go to school, they just turn in assignments just to get the grade. Well, I took every assignment very seriously. I treated it like work. And so they were all divinely inspired. All right. And I didn't know it at the time, but there was a reason that I was writing this book. Right? So after I graduated from after I graduated from college, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? You know, I've got this degree, basically a cult leading degree. I custom made it. It was an interdisciplinary degree with emphasis in philosophy, sociology, and psychology. And so I integrated my own spirituality with that, and you get a cult leading degree. So I specifically made it for what I am doing right now. And so I didn't know it at the time, but I was writing this book for a purpose. So I got to Reno and have my experience, right? I thought I was going to come out here to California to sell my book. Ended up over in Reno, Nevada. And I found a job there. I found a place to live. And so every week I had these experiences. And so I was told to go back and start a cult with the book that I wrote. So I did that, and as the cult started coalescing, you could say, there were a lot of people there in town that didn't like it. And so then they started this reality show, right? And I'll tell you, I don't have anything to do with the reality show. The only thing I have control over is what I post on Facebook. If I had control of this reality show, it would have been done totally differently. But like I said, the whole reason they did it was to try to ruin me. They basically tried to set it up to where I would have to let go of my family if I didn't let all this kind of immorality in the church. And of course, I could have been bitter and been like, oh yeah, whatever, I don't care about the church, you know, after what they did to me. But this is all about forgiveness, right? And my cult is the true church. I've told you before that I am the Christ reincarnate and I am the Buddha reincarnate. And we'll talk about that whenever we get to the Revelation part. All right, so people need to understand that there is a reason for all of this. All right, so then I find out that my ex-wife has been working with the opposition. All this lies and deceit. And the way I found out about it was I was taking a walk with my daughter after I got kicked out of my ex-wife's house. And I caught my daughter in a lie. So my ex-wife was telling my daughter to lie to me about this stuff. And so my whole life has just been about people lying about things all the time. You know, so there really isn't any wonder why I'm going to be all about truth and justice, because hey, I'm tired of being lied to all the time, you know, and it's just it's not right, you know. And here it is, almost 3 years later, and these people are still continuing to lie to me. They're trying to get me to give up my kingdom. The governments don't like me because my government makes all governments obsolete. So I got to deal with these psychopaths all the time. And it's been a painful life. It really has. But thank goodness I found this other stuff. It's so cool to be a cult leader, and to be transformed into God is, of course, totally awesome. There's nothing they can do to break me. There's nothing they can do to make me change anything. My life is just too important, and we will go through this as we go through the Christmas series. All right. Okay, so let's go to, got some cool pictures there. Got some cool Dreamweaver radio. All right, so the inexpressible, that Buddha quote right there. I've tried to explain the inexpressible to you a lot. And it's all about controlling your senses. It's all about letting the formless permeate your mind, because that's what the spirit is formlessness. That is what we think of God as, is spirit. All right, the spirit is within me, and it's within the body of the man I am, and that's what makes me God. All right, so once you meditate on the formless and you get that meditative mindset, then you start understanding scriptures like this. Okay, and then there's something from the Quran, talks about Jesus. There's a lot of quotes about Jesus in the Quran, and a lot of people don't understand that. With all the propaganda there is, Islamophobia and all that, a lot of people don't think that Christianity and Judaism and Islam are compatible religions, and they really are. There's a lot of things that don't seem like they mesh very well, but it's just things that can work out if you see it in a particular light. And that's what's cool about my book, is it sets everything straight. It aligns all things together, and if you paid attention the past couple of seasons, or if you've been with me for a while, then you know that. You understand that to be true. And we'll also talk about this as we go through the Christmas series. So all of this stuff we will cover throughout the next couple of weeks. All right, so the truth is all about perspective. This is all about absolute perspective. All right, I am the absolute. All right, and we'll talk about this absolute power in a little bit. And understand that there is no bitterness here. Yeah, I get angry. You don't want me to get angry at you, because my wrath, it'll take you down. And a lot of people are like, well, Buddha wasn't angry. Well, I'm a level ahead of Buddha. All right, I'm a level ahead of Jesus. I'm like Jesus 2.0. So understand that is that this wrath, this anger I have, is righteous anger, and you don't want to get on the wrong side of it. But there is no bitterness, and there's no hate except for the evil that people do. All right, and if people would just grow up and become mature and stop all this foolishness, we could really make some progress in this world. But like I've told you before, the focus is on the kingdom. So you're only hurting yourselves by continuing to do the stupid things that you people are doing. All right. So if you deny the truth, you will be denied. So theoretically, this government that I wrote, and the kingdom that is the core of it, all right, we can take it to any planet, all right, in the universe that has higher consciousness, or creatures with higher consciousness, and we could rule them. So in theory, I could rule the entire world. I am the Lord of the worlds. I can rule the entire universe. All right. So I understand that it sounds strange whenever I say you need to be devoted to the Spirit and then be devoted to me. But it's the same thing. It's like the Spirit is my higher self. Okay, so understand that. So when you're praying to my Spirit, or you're praying to me. If you're around me, I am the physical manifestation of God. Do you understand that? I'm not who Jesus was. I'm not who Buddha was. Although I'm the reincarnate I'm the reincarnate of the Spirit. All right. I am actually God who walks the earth, and if you've read the last few chapters of Revelation, you understand what that means. And we'll cover that in a little bit also. All right. So I know it makes people nervous for me to have absolute power, because we all have heard the saying, absolute power corrupts. Well, I'm not like most humans. I'm like an alien compared to you people. There really is no relativity. I'm so far out ahead of you people that you would never catch up. Even if I stopped doing what I'm doing, you would never catch up to me. Never. Because I'm just so far out ahead of you people that you'll never catch up to this wisdom. And so I am the only one who can have this kind of power, because greed will not corrupt me. All right, so understand that. So if you know anything about the Dreamweaver prophecy, you know that these alien angels that I experienced while I was out in Reno were sent to me. They're made of these nanotechnological bodies. Right? They were sent to me from the future, to my past self back when I was in Reno, to try to stop this world war. And you know, when I first started writing this, it sounded kind of crazy, but it doesn't sound too crazy right now. That we're on the brink of world war, you know, and all this stuff is really actually possible and coherent. So this is part of the future fantastic. I'm going to build these robots made of these nanotechnology and upload your consciousness. And if you'll notice, every chapter of my book has something to do with what's going to happen. You know, and I've noticed that whenever I started first writing, is that it seems like whatever I write comes true. You know, it's part of the prophecy. So that means that I need to write more. You know, I need to have more time to do this stuff. And if it wasn't for the opposition, I would be getting paid for what I do. I would be getting crazy paid, probably like billions of dollars. You know, and that's what I deserve, because I need to have the time to do this. I've got all these other things planned, like worldwide tours, help organizations, channels, you know, like networks and stuff like that. All these things that need to happen, and it's going to require money to do that. And also, I need to get paid for what I do, because this is my job. You know, I went to school, I paid all this money, I'm in debt, you know, school, because of this degree that I got, that I made specifically for what I do. But all of a sudden, you know, all these other preachers can get paid for what they do, but I can't get paid for what I do. And that's really, really unfair. But, you know, it's just part of the persecution. It's what I got to go through right now. But I'm not worried about it, because I'm not going to sell out. You know, the money will come. I'm not worried about that. I just got to keep living righteous. So it's lonely. It really is, being so far out ahead of everybody, and especially the life I'm leading right now. I don't have a lot of people that I can hang out with, and most people are acting like a bunch of kids. You know, and it's obvious. This grade school mindset that our society lives off of. You know, it's insane. And instead of listening to me and doing what I tell people to do, there's this insistence on living the same way that you people have lived for thousands and thousands of years, and you haven't got it right. And here I am. I've worked on this for only a decade, and I figured it out. You know, so that should tell you something. And you know, it would all be so easy if I could just get a nice young girlfriend to have around with me all the time. But again, right now, this is what I got to do. You know, I got to go through this. The women will come, the money will come, all my dreams will happen. I mean, I'm making the dream happen right now. You know, even with this vow of homelessness, even being on the street, my life is awesome. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't sell out. I wouldn't do any of these things, because what I'm doing is just, it's so awesome and so good. It's righteous, you know, and it doesn't matter what I have to go through. And the dreamscapes, I mean, these people are trying to torture me. They're trying to drive me insane. And I'll tell you, I am very close. I'm not going to get insane, but I'm very close to checking into a mental institution because, hey, I can get away from people, and I can tell them exactly what's going on, and it'll sound like some kind of mental disorder, which of course isn't what's happening, but it kind of is because these people continue to do this stuff to me. So I mean, imagine this, especially right now. I'm here in Los Angeles, and it's getting cold at night, so I'm shivering, right? And I'm trying to sleep, and at the same time, they're pumping these dreams into my brain, right? These messed up dreams. And it's just like they are trying to, it feels like that they are trying to make my mind into mush. It's just like, and it's so stupid. It's like the dumbest thing that I've ever experienced in my life, and I don't have any choice but to go through it because it's dreams. I can't stop it. There's no kind of guard I can wear. I can't. It's not like I can make a tinfoil hat and wear that all the time. I mean, it's just, it's insane that you people are allowing this to happen. But hey, I'll get my day in court. I'm going to sue these folks, and they're going to burn in hell. We'll talk about that in a little while. So here it talks about the Dreamweaver method. Here it talks about all the stuff you can do in order to practice the Dreamweaver way, and then here is the divine law for the cult in the kingdom. It's very important that you practice this stuff. All right, so I would advise copying this stuff and memorizing it, especially that part right there. All right, so as we go through the Christmas series, you're going to see things that I've written in the past, right, that have been prophetic. And again, it's part of being the Dreamweaver. It's like whatever I write becomes reality, so I need to do some more writing. So you'll see some of this prophecy stuff as we go through, like what I wrote back in March whenever the popularity was first happening. It's turned into a worldwide event, and I haven't given up. I'm still living the Dreamweaver way. I'm still going to be the same guy living the same way. Because I've done that, I've done everything the right way. Yeah, I could have sold out and had all the money I wanted and had all the women I wanted if I were willing to share these women. But no, I'm going to do it the right way. And since I'm doing it the right way, not only will it be done the right way, but I will have qualitative relationships with these women, and there won't be any kind of corruption to it in whatever way it happens. Whether I have one woman or like my dream of having a harem full of supermodels. However it happens, these relationships are going to be good, solid, and qualitative, and awesome. Okay, so alright, so then here it talks about Buddha. When he first was enlightened, he didn't want to teach anybody. But then he thought, well, a few will be able to comprehend it. And that's the understanding I have too. It's like, I know a lot of people aren't going to try to understand what I'm doing. I know that, but even if only one person listens, I will continue to do it, and there's always going to be one person, and there's never going to be a reason for me to stop, even if there weren't anybody listening, which will never happen. But even if that was the case, I still wouldn't give up, because this is too important. Even if everyone in the world disagreed with me and tried to pressure me to stop doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't do it, because this mission is more important than anything. And yeah, I've got all these angels to help me if I need them, but I'm Superman. And think about all the enemies that I have, and I'm just one man standing up against billions of people. And anybody who stands with me is protected by what I do. So these people try to play me off as weak, They try to make me sound like immature, try to feminize what I do or whatever, but they can't stop me. I mean, I'm the strongest man on the planet. You know, I truly am made of steel or something, because they can't defeat me. There isn't anything they can do. So all they can do, what do? They try to put their name on me. They try to say that they were part of this and part of that, and that they've done this and done that. But I'll tell you this much. It doesn't matter who you are or what you've done. You cross me, if you betray me, you are out. It doesn't matter. I don't care. You know, I'm God. If you really think that you know better than I do, which nobody does because nobody says anything directly, but if you really think so, step on up and I'll knock you down. Alright, so you submit to me or be destroyed. You're going to destroy yourselves if you don't. Cult of the Dreamweaver, unconditional, no compromise. It is absolute, just like me. Alright, so if you don't want me to be the king, then set up your own king. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop being the king, but you people don't know what you're doing. And it's obvious. You know, so you need to just stop. Okay, so my mind control, you know, a lot of people, even my followers, like to give me attitude every once in a while, but you know you need my mind control. You know you need it. You act like you don't want it, but you really do want it. You know, and it's just I'm the righteous father. You know, I'm your daddy. I'm God, and I know sometimes it's not very cool to go along with what I want to do, but it doesn't matter. You've got to do what I tell you to do. I am your God. You have got to put me first in your life. If you don't, then it's idolatry, and I don't want you any part of what I'm doing. Everyone is replaceable. Everyone is invaluable until you become a pagan or idolater, and then you become worthless. Alright, Socrates. This quote is basically saying that the only people that really make mistakes are people who don't know but think they know. And that's a lot of people here in our society. They don't take the time to actually know what they think they know, and they go around thinking they know what they know, but they don't really know. And so they make mistakes. And so, you know, people always try to find my mistakes because I don't sin. I don't make mistakes in morality or ethics. So they're always trying to, like, nitpick everything I do, everything. You know, because they're trying to make me look like I'm incapable of ruling the world, and I'm like, look, folks, this is only going to happen one way. You know, you're either going to do what I tell you to do, or you're going to burn. You know, so it's really stupid to resist what I'm trying to provide for y'all, but humans are contentious creatures, you know, and if you don't know how to contend the right way, you're going to be the idiot who is exactly like the opposition. Right? So you're never going to change my mind. This way is eternal. It's unconditional. All right, and here we covered the Tao. You know, we've talked about the Tao before, and it's all about being desireless. Again, I do everything the right way because I will never let desire rule me. You know, I'll never want something so much that it will make me give in, that it'll make me sell out or sacrifice my integrity. You know, and since I live this life, not only is it the right thing to do, but I set a good example for everyone. And so understand, it talks about the multiverse here, all the different kinds of possibilities, but the only way you can see the secret essences is if you learn how to desire to be desireless. And it doesn't make you into some kind of cold creature that doesn't feel. In fact, whenever you learn how to do this, it makes your relationships even better. because you know how to love in the right way. You know how to desire things in the right way. Not even talking about relationships. Anything that you might desire, it's going to help you do those things in the right way. Uh, so it makes it even better. It makes it an even better experience. It makes it qualitative. So the opposition is wrong, and I've been dealing with them for 3 years now, right? And they're a bunch of cowards. Not one person has been able to say anything to me directly, and I'm waiting for that day. I'm waiting for the day that they finally try to say something, because I've got it all. I mean, I will knock each and every one of them down. I'll drive them so far into the ground they'll never get up. And they've joked around about me becoming uh, feminine or something like that. And I do not like the idea of chopping my wiener off. I don't like that. And I'm thinking, hey, why don't you chop your wiener off if you like that idea so much? Why don't you cut your testicles off? And of course people don't like that idea. They like the idea of me doing it because, hey, if I do that, then I'm not the king anymore. So you're gonna love this computer program I thought of. It's called Hell. And yeah, it's fire everywhere, burning flesh over and over, regrowing. You never really live. You never really die. Throughout eternity, drinking the scalding liquid metal. And yeah, you're probably going to face castration too, especially the leaders of the opposition, because it's not funny to joke around about that stuff.